Then share screen. Share screen. Okay, so today we will start a new unit, and on our website it's regarding data wrangling. So what we will see is we will see a lot of combination of multiple data frame or something. Okay. Yeah. So first, let's see the hierarchical indexing. I remember previously we kind of also went over this hierarchical indexing. Okay, so over here, let's see. So you generate some random number, is it? But if you take a close look of this index equal that index option, is it? It has two lists, is it? So when you see the result, you will see for the label part, it has two level of index. One is A, B, C, D. The other is 1, 2, 3, is it? And this kind of index, we call it multi-index, is it? So it has two level. And with the label index, previously we also learned is that you can specify the label to get the item, is it? So here you specify B, that means you want to get related rows from that label, okay? And you can also do slicing, that in this case, you want, because it's a label, is it? So it gives you the result. You can also specify multiple ones with comma, is it? So BD, so nothing new here. And you can also call the log, as we learned this before, and call log, is it? And over here, this log, what it shows is show multi-level, and you want to get all of the related with 2, is it? So you can specify that also, okay? So that's the first concept, multi-index. And previously, I remember we also learned stack and unstack, is it? And for stack, it's to make your data frame taller and narrower, is it? So if you have multi-index, it will get it to taller. And the unstack, it's rewind back. So it will reshape it wider and shorter, is it? So previously, our original frame looks something like this. Something like you have level 0, level 1, is it? And you do unstack, did you see you bring the innermost one? So whenever you do stack, if you didn't specify the level, it will start from the innermost one. So in this case, the innermost one is it go to column, is it? So that's why your data is going to become wider. And you can also call stack, is it? So then it will bring the innermost column and make it to as rows, okay? So that's the idea. And whenever you build a data frame, you can also specify the index and the column. So over here, nothing new, is it? But with this index and column, both has multi-level, is it? So we have multi-level for both index and column. And then you can also give your index and column name. So here it shows you can also specify the name for the level, is it? So for this one, for the inner level, you give it a name called color. For the outer level, you give it a name, you call it state, okay? And then you can retrieve any specified column or row, is it? So here you specify, okay, with regarding the outer levels column Ohio, is it? So that's what the result you will get. And then what next is shows is we can do the reordering and the sorting things. So what here it first show you can also swap the level, is it? So here is show you swap the level, is it? Because previous it's K1 and K2, is it? So here you swap, is it? Yeah, and you can also sort And when you sort, you can specify the level. Is it? Here it's level 1. Level 1 is in this case is, so here we have the frame, okay? So this is our frame, that data frame. The data frame, you have the outer one is AB. The inner one is number 1, 2. Is it? When you specify the sort, so here you say, okay, I'm going to sort by index, so sort by K1 or K2, is it? And here you specify, I'm going to sort by what? I'm going to sort level 1. So level 1, so then you can see it based on the K2, based on level 2. Okay, not level, based on the inner one, because this one, this key 1, this level, the index then should be 0. Okay, and here 1 is for K2. Okay, so you can specify the level, is it? So it shows for the other one is that it is swap index and it's also core index. So you can specify by which level you want to do sorting. And what next shows is also quite useful. You can get some summary statistics also by level, is it? And here it's still based on this data frame, is it? And here what we want is we want to do summation, is that we want to, so you specify your level is that K2, is it? And you want to do summation, is it? You want to do summation. And what the result here is shows, is it? You specify by K2, is it to do summation? So that's why your result, did you see, you only have 1 and 2, is it? You don't have, as previous, you have 2, is it? So that's a summation because it's, so this summation here basically based on the group, is it? Okay, every 1 equals 1, then I'm going to sum them together. Every 1 equals 2, I'm going to sum together. That's why you see 6, how the 6 come. The 6 is because 0 plus 6. And where the 12 comes from? It comes from 3 plus 9, is it? So it's a summation based on the specified level that you specify. So that's what this, you can do some summarizing by whatever level you specify, okay? And what is the next one? So you can, over here it shows, we use dictionary. So we already learned. We create a data frame, is it, with the dictionary, okay? So nothing new here. And over here is, you have 4 columns, is it? And then previously we also learned with data frame, you can bring certain column to index, is it? So here it shows, you see, previously you have 4 columns for the data frame. Now for your column, for your data frame, you only have 2 columns, is it? But you convert column C and column D to what? To index, is it? To index. So you can also do that through what? Through this call called set index. And if you don't specify anything, by default it will drop. But you may sometimes you say, oh, I want to keep whatever column I convert to index. Then you just say, okay, drop is not true. They set it to false. Okay, and if you call, because now frame 2 looks like this, is that if you call reset index, it will bring it back. So this is kind of like a stack and stack, is it? Yeah, kind of like that. And what the next part is very important is we are going to learn a number of ways to merge data set. So how do we do this? So the first one, we have this data frame. You have 2 columns, key and data 1, is it? And second one, you have key and data 2. You have this 2 columns. Then what we are going to do is we call merge. Okay, so you have 2 different data grid, kind of like you have 2 different tables. So you want to get them together. You combine them together. One way you can call merge method. What merge method does is it's going to look for overlapping columns for merging. Okay, for merging. So let's take a look. So for the first one, the column, what do you have? Because here you are going to do the merge. Is it the column both have the same as the key column? Is it the key column for the first data frame, you have A, B, C. Is it for the second one, you have A, B, D. Is it? But when they do merge, by default, if you don't specify, they will look for overlapping columns. Is it? That's why if you take a look at the result, you will see you don't have C, you don't have D. You only have A and B. Is it? So this, if by default, it's kind of they look for what? For intersection. Okay, intersection. And then this one is similar. You can also specify merge on which column. Is it on which column? So here I specify on the key column. Is it? And what the next one shows is you have these two data frame, DF3 and DF4. Is it? Both have two columns. And then you're still going to call the merge. Is it? And this time it says, okay, for the left part, I'm going to do specify. So for the left data frame, I'm going to specify this column for my merge. And for my right data frame, I'm going to use this column for my merge. Is it? And whenever they do merge, they merge on overlapping column. Is it? So if you take a look, yeah, you can see C is gone, D is gone. You only have A and B. Is it? Looking for the common. But you can specify from your left data frame and your right data frame which column you are going to use for the merge. Is that so that they will look for the common item. So over here it's BBA, is it AB, AAB, and here it's only AB. They will look for the common specified item from the specific column to do the merge, so that you will have this result. Okay, so that's this one. And by default, whenever we specify the merge, we didn't specify how. Is it? So in this case, basically, it's kind of the concept. By default, it's interception. Okay, so I'm just going to put a comments like here. So over here, so by default, merge use what? It's intersection. Okay, it's intersection. Okay, then next let's see. So we have, it's the same data frame, it's similar. And here, did you see when you do the specify, you specify as the outer. So outer is kind of the concept called union. So you're going to include everything. So intersection, so union is basically or. So with the logic relationship, it's called or. Is it when you have or relation, it's include everyone. Is it? And the other one is inner join. Is it inner join? It's more like what? More like and operation. Okay, so it's both must have. Is it? So over here we specify our merge of this. Then in this case, did you see C and D also included? Is it? Because over here you specify outer, and you can try after you go home. You can try with running as not outer, as inner. What's going to happen? Okay, and you can also take off how. Is it to see what's going to happen? So here is shows the outer. And next, let's see, we have this two data frame, nothing new, is it? And here it says when you do merge, you said, okay, I specify on which key, is it? And I also specify how. How here is not inner or outer, it says left. So what does this left mean? So Left then means all keys from left will be included. Okay, so it won't. So if you take a look at the result, you see this time C is included, but not D, is it? Because second data frame has D, so D is not included, is it? But you include everything from the left one, because this is, the F1 is considered left. And if you specify, you consider how you change it to right. That's going to be different story, okay? Then C will not be included, but the D will be included. Okay, so that's, so for how you can outer, you can do inner, you can do left, you can do a right. So that just tells you, you include which keys. And here it shows how to do the inner. Is it inner only have the common ones. And what is the next one gives us, so we have the left and we have the right data frame. Is it? So this time we have two, key 1, key 2, and this one, we both have key 1, key. And then this time, so what this merge shows is, when you specify on the column to merge, you can specify more than one column, not a single one. Is it? So this time you include both key 1 and key 2. Is it key 1 and key 2? You include, but not a single one. And also you do outer. So outer is going to be everyone. Is it? So that's why here you also have some net values. Is it? Because those values is not, if you like full and 2. Is it? Full and 2, only full and 2 has values on the left. And the full and 2, if you check the right, doesn't have that. Is that? But because what you did is outer join, is it? That's why this net will be failed. Okay. And you can also do merge. And the merge here just give you another option is, beside you specify on which key, is it? You can also say, oh, I do some surfaces. Is it? So then in this case, then what it does is it also, so here you specify on key 1, is it? On key 1. And then the surfaces here you see the left and the right, is it? So that's the join. So the merge column, is it? And the remaining column over here, the second key, is it? Then you just add some surfaces, is it? So that's what its purpose. So not a lot of new things here. And what next shows is that we can also do merge on index. So let's see, what does this mean? So here we have left, is it? The left data frame, okay? And then we have the right data frame, is it? And for the right data frame, be careful. Here, the right data frame, what it has a specific index. So it says A and B are index. Okay, A and B and index. And then you says, I'm going to do merge. Is it? And I merge on who? I merge on key. Is it? So the left data frame, you're going to pick this key, this column as your merge column. Is it? But on the right, that A and B, over here, you said you already specify it as index. Is it? That's why this option is mandatory. If you don't put this right index as true, you will not be able to run this. Okay, so you must set this right index as true because you already put A and B, that column, as index. Okay, so you must be careful here. So here it just shows if you have certain column and you specify it as index, then you need to turn it on when you do merge. you need to turn on that left index or right index true. You need to turn on this option, okay? So over here, the idea is to turn on the index, okay, as the merge key, okay? So you must turn it on. And what the next part shows is we have two data frames, so nothing new here, is it? And here, what we are going to do is we are also going to do merge, is it? And this time you merge on two selected column, is the key 1, the key 2 for the left one. And the right one, you say, oh, I'm going to turn on the index, is it? Because over here, if you take a close look, you needed to be careful, okay? For the left data frame, you didn't specify this part, is it? So this part is not on the left data frame, but on the right data frame, you do have this index specified, is it? So state and the year, not a column, not a part of column. It's a part of what? It's part of index, is it? And because it's part of index, that's why here you needed to turn it on. Okay, the right index, okay. So here, let me put a comment is, that's because for the right data frame, its index is specified, is it? That's why you needed to turn it on, okay. So turn it on in option. You need to turn it on, otherwise it won't work, okay? And then, because it always, for merge, if we go back to the beginning of the definition of merge, so merge by default, it's look for same column name, and it's a line or column, is it? It's a column, but here, what I'm just explaining is state and the year. They are not a column, they are index, is it? Because they are index, so that's why over here you need to turn on that index. If you don't turn on, that will cause trouble, okay? So that's the idea. And the next one, yeah, that's a similar idea. For this one, the left data frame, you have index column. And the right, you have index and column, is both have. And when you do merge, is it? Then in this case, you need to turn both on, okay? So here, so turn both left and right index on. Okay, if you don't turn them on, you will not get the result. So be very careful, okay, when you have your data frame and when you call your merge function, okay? So that's all regarding merge. And you can also do combine of the data frame with another function, we call it join. We can also do join, okay? And the join is different, is it? For merge, you call pd.merge. And then you pass in the left and the right data frame, is it? For join, it's not. So join, basically, it's data frames method. Is it data frames method? So over here, you have the left one, is it? Then you can, I'm going to call join. So the left data frame, so basically this left two is kind of like your merges left, okay? And then the second one is going to join on the first one, is it? And then you specify how you're going to join. And over here it says it's going to join on default indexes, okay? Because here I have two indexes, is it? So it's going to join on indexes. And then next, let's take a look. So here I have the left one, is it? And I also have the right data frame. I have both, is it? And when you call join, you can also specify join on what? Join on the key, is it? Because this key is from the left data frame. Okay, your right data frame, you don't have key, is it? But it will, what here join we said is it's going to join on the index, not on the column. So it's based on the default index to look for the combination. So it's a different concept from merge. Okay, merge is based, default is by column, and here it's based on the index. So over here, then you specify, okay, I'm going to use this column as my index to do the join, okay, do the combination. And then let's see. So here we have another data frame. So this is, then you have left data frame, you have right data frame, is it? And what here you said, okay, I'm going to do join, is it? Based on this, so this is going to be the leftmost data frame. Then you are going to join with what? Join with Missouri, Alabama, then New York and Oregon, is it? What you're going to do is you're going to do the outer ones, is it? And they are going to be based on what kind of thing to join, based on their index. So their index is A, B, C, D, E, F, those things, is it? So that's their join foundation. So the join base is based on index, okay, not a column. So that's different. And what next shows is we can also call this function called concatenation function. Okay, so what a concatenation function is that it does concatenation along axis. Okay, and at the same time, it's going to do union or intersection. So let's take a look. Okay, so here you have data frame ARR, is it? So here we create the NumPy array, and then you are going to combine both of the axes, and you specify by what? By axis it's 1, is it? So that's why here you concatenate, is it, two of them, so it's gross, is it? You specify. So that's this case. And then next, let's see. And we have S1, S2, S3. Then we have 3 series this time. Okay, with this 3 series, and you call the concatenation function, is it? And concatenation in this case, because you didn't specify the axis, is it? So by default, it looks kind of you append more items, is it? You grow, so it kind of you expand the row, is it? So by default, if you don't it's grow the rows. But if you specify by which axis, is it? So then it says it will concatenate on column, but it will do union on rows. Is it? That's why this result shows is, so for this concatenate, you didn't specify. So you will only have a single row result, is it? But for this one, because you specify axis is 1, is it? So the result is going to look like as, did you see? And it's the, it's you do the union on row, is it? You have 3 columns generated versus this single one, is it? So be careful about the difference between these two. And then what next one shows us is, so this time we have this, the first one, the second data frame, and the third data frame, as we have this 3 data frame. And then we do the first and the second one, so AB and this ABFG, is it? And what here is we just do the concatenation, is it? Concatenation. So you can see the result is AB, is it? AB and FG, is it? Yeah, so that's what the result shows. And you also specify the axis, is it? So it grows. So you have more columns generate. One column is from the S1 data frame. The other is from S4 data frame. And for this one, it's the same thing, is it? And you specify the axis, but the join by default, you didn't here you specify the join manner as inner, is it? When you have the inner, look for the common things. If they don't have common, they are going to be dropped, is it? So that's how you come up with this result. And what the next one shows is we still do the concatenation, is it? Just like over here, S1 and S4, is it here? The same axis, is it? But this time we specify also the join axis, is it? Not just like here, you didn't specify the join axis, you just specify the join manner, the join mode. Here you specify the join axis. That's how you come up with this output, is it? So you specify the axis, is it? The index is going to have A, C, B, E, is it? Whatever you specify, okay? And what the next one shows is we do the concatenation, is it? And we do the concatenation with S1 and S3, but we repeat S1 twice, is it? And you also specify the keys, is it? And here says that then you're going to add the keys for the rows, is it? Otherwise, by the default, it doesn't provide you, is it? So over here, then you can specify your keys. And here, similar concept, is it? And here we shows you can also specify the keys for your column, okay? What this one also shows us is the concatenation continuing discussion. So the df1, the df2 shows us, is it? We have the index and we have the column, is it? And here the concatenation was it says it's a 1, is it? And here it also specify the keys as a level 1 and level 2, is it? So based on your specify the axis is 1, is it? So when you do the concatenation, it grows. So it adds more column, basically, in this case, is it? And because you add all the more column, you also kind of you specify the key, is it? So you kind of grow it with multi-level column in this case, is it? So for the column, for the innermost one, is it? So this is level 0 column, level 0, and this is level 1 column, is it? So basically what here you specify the key is you add another level for your column. And over here, what it shows is you can also use dictionary to achieve the same effect like over here, you specify the keys. Okay, so that's the concatenation. And over here, it further shows we concatenate both data frame, the data df1 and df2, and we specify by column, okay? And here you specify key, so nothing new, that's like the old one. But here you see, you also gave the name, is it? So over here you say, oh, it says for level 1, we give it a name called upper, is it? Or level 0, and then level 1, we give it another name called lower. So this time, for your outer level of column, you give it a name, and for your inner level of column, you also give it a name. Okay, so you name your different level of the columns. And what the next one shows is we have 2 data frames, is it? And this time we just do the concatenation, is it? And here it says ignore the index. You turn on this option, okay, the index, ignore index. If we take a look at the result, if we take a look at the result, we can see, so you don't, so you ignore the index. So in case, but because over here we didn't specify index, is it? So it doesn't matter. Otherwise, if you have index, then what it means is you can ignore it. Okay, so that's what the concatenation. And what the next part shows is we can call another function called combine first. Okay, so first let's take a look at what the idea is. So another function, so we already learned merge, join, concatenate. Okay, so this is the first one called combine first. So let's see, we have two data frames, is it A and B? And be careful here, you change the last item of B to a nav value, okay, nav value. And what here you're going to do is you apply the NP where function, is it? And we said it can do the filtering work for the where function, is it? So what here the concept is, you check if there is any null value from A, is it from A? And if you have nav value from A, you're going to replace it with the corresponding value from B. So the nav value is nav here, F, but I have 0, 0, is it? So that's why I'm going to change it with B's value, is it? And if it doesn't, if B doesn't, then you're going to keep whatever A has. So let's see, the last one. Well, let's first take a look at D. D, A is nav, is it? Is nav. And B is 2.0, is it? So that's why I'm going to change it, okay? And for the last one, it's nav, and the B is also nav. So that's why I'm still going to keep my A's value. So that's what this function means. And then let's see what this does, okay? So here we learn another function called combine first. So what this combine first is, it's going to depend on whatever this data frame value is, and then look for the common ones, is it? Look for, and if it has nav value, so basically it kind of does what this parts, this NP where does, is it? So if it has nav values, it's going to pick that values from your other data frame. And in case your other data frame also doesn't have one, then it's going to keep it as nav values. So that's what this combine first mean, okay? So the combine first, basically it's you can use it to update your data frame based on another data frame. So a lot of time is you have first version of your data frame, then you have second version of data frame, is it? And your second version have some updates on your first one. Then how are you going to change it, is it? So you can set up a certain condition to update your first version of the data frame. So that's what this part means. And then let's see, for this one, is it, so we have the first data frame, A, B, C, and we have second data frame, we only have A and B, is it? And then we said, okay, we are going to combine both of them, is it? But combine first, it's applied to the first data frame, is it? So the DF1. So let's see the result, is it? To see the result. So because B, you only have A and B, is it? So let's see, for the second row, is the second row under A, is it? It's nav value, is it? But you see, after you call the df1.combine first, it's replaced with B's value, is it? So that's what this combine first mean, okay? So it's going to use a second data frame's value to do update for your first data frame. And what next one is, because we learned the hierarchical index, is it? So how do we do reshaping and the pivoting, is it? So here it shows. So we have this data frame, is it? And you can do stack and unstack, as it previously we discussed. So with this stack function you call, is it? It will make it grow longer, is it? And narrower. So stack will make your data frame grow narrower and longer, is it? And unstack will make it to grow what wider, as we already learned. And you can also specify by which axis, is it, and which level you want to do stack or unstack, is it? And when you are done with this class, you can try this. Like unstack, if you plug in with 1, what is going to happen, is it? So that's regarding stack and unstack. We kind of run out of time. So stack and unstack, so you can check the remaining examples. So it's just grow. So you can see like from this one, is it? And if you call unstack, then it will make it grow wider, okay? And the next concept is also quite useful in the real world. It's pivoting, okay, and the pivot table. And the pivoting is that you can pivot long to Y, okay? So pivot to long to Y. So how do we do this? So over here, we read the CSV file, okay? So it's about some macroeconomic data, is it? And then over here, we do the print header. So we saw this. Then from the original data frame, we pick 3 columns, okay, the GDP, inflation, unemployment. And we name it, gave a name called item, is it? And then we get the top 10 items. So that's what the result looks like, is it? And then it also shows you can do stacking, is it? You can do stack, is it? And after we do stack, you can see it, the data, the stack. So basically it make it grow what? Grow longer, is it? So you change the GDP, inflation, unemployed to what? As a column now. So now they all serve as the column. The column name is item, is it? So you kind of turn the table 90 degrees, is it? Yeah, rotate it to 90 degrees. So that's a stack and unstack concept, okay? So let's see. So anyway, the data looks like this. And here, let's see. On this data, is it, if you call pivot, is it pivot? What does it mean? Okay, is that pivot can be used to do some grouping, to regroup the data. Okay, to regroup the data. So let's take a look. So if we take a look, we will find, is it, so the original data looks like this. Is it, you have date, you have item, then you have value, is it? And under the item, then you have the GDP, inflation, unemployment, is it? And over here, you specify, you said, I'm going to do pivot, is it? And the pivot is that you're going to have date as index. So the first parameter is for index. And then whatever you specify the second parameter, they are going to be column. And the third one is going to be the value you are going to fill in your data frame, is it? So after you call this pivot, then it's going to regroup, reshape your original data, okay? So now you see inflation, GDP, and unemployee, is it? They are going to be to rotate to another degree back to column, is it? So that's why here we said it's reshape your data, is it? And here you add another new column called volume 2. Is it volume 2? And this time what you said is I'm going to do the pivot. Is it pivot? I'm going to use date and item to do the pivot. Is it? And here you printed out the pivot value. Is it? And because of the data, you also have value 2. Is it? So it's going to be regrouped. We said pivot does grouping also. So it's regrouped by value and by value 2. Okay, so that's what that part means. And then you can specify the specific group of value. And over here it shows you can call the set index. Previously we learned, so you can combine what we learned before together, the set index and stacking and unstacking, is there to get this kind of result. And what the next one shows, this is also quite useful, called the pivot table method. Okay, and here it says for pivot. Okay, for pivot is that before you calling pivot, you need to make sure the pivot does not have rows with duplicate values. Okay, so that's the key point. So if your row has duplicate values, then what we need to do? Then you need to use pivot table. Okay, because pivot table is going to do some aggregation. Okay, the aggregation method can be mean, can also be median, or some other aggregation function. Is it, or summation, or count, or frequency, something like that. Is it? Yeah, so this is a different function called pivot table. So the major difference between these two, like what I mentioned here, for pivot doesn't support duplicate values, but pivot, it will allow duplicate because anyway, it's going to aggregate those duplicate values. Okay, so let's see. Here we have a order dictionary, is it? We have dictionary kind of data, and you use it to build a data frame, is it? And then what over here is you call pivot table. Okay, we call pivot table. And here is the result. Okay, so here it says pivot table. Basically, it performs something like the group by. Previously, we kind of very quickly went over group by. So pivot table, it performs similar functionality like a group by. Okay. So if you take a look like this pivot table, that's what the result is it? And then next, let's see. So here we have this data frame, is it? We have it. And for this pivot table, I haven't finished it. Okay, pivot table. So here we said it's like the group by. Okay, the group by. So this is the original data frame. Is it? So you have item, you have the type, and the US dollar or European. Is it? And then you specify the index as the item. Is it? So this item is going to be used to do the group by. So if you call the pivot table plug in with those options, is it? Then the result will look like this. Is it? Result will look like this. So what is this? Is it? And here it says the aggregation function. You also specify the aggregation function. The aggregation function is based on what? It's based on the values. Okay, and the value is based on minimum value. Is it? So for item 0, we have 3 items 0, and based on US dollar, you have 1, 2, 3. Is it? You have 1, 2, 3, and that's why for the item 0. Is it? For the item 0, and you also, because you're going to do group by. Is it? So here you also have bronze or gold or silver difference. Is it? So that's why for the gold, you have 1 and 3. Is it? So you're going to pick the minimum one. So that's why here it only shows 1 versus not the 3. Is it? And if over here you said, okay, I'm going to change it to some. Is it? Then it's going to be different. Then over here, gold is going to be 4. Okay, gold is going to be 4. So it depends on what aggregation function you're going to apply for the pivot table. So what a pivot table is going to do, so you have the repetitive value, is it? You have 3 item 0, is it? So you're going to do the pivot table, so you're going to use their index and the column to do the group by, is it? And then you specify based on what criteria you're going to do the group by. So here I pick the minimum, is it? And we can say, okay, for the item 1, is it? And you only have silver, is it? And bronze and gold, you don't have that. Why is there a field with that, is it? So that's what the pivot table works. And pivot table is also quite useful, okay? So just remember pivot table, both of these two are quite useful in data analysis. And what the next one shows is another function called melt. So this is also, it says, so whatever you pivot, it can unpivot, okay? So unpivot means it will give you the detail. It won't do the group by, is it? So that's why, because it doesn't do the group by, so because that's why it will change your wide format to long format, is it? So we can see for the DF, is it? This is of DF. We have K, we have A, B, C, is it? And when you call melt, is it? You will see the full bar and the bars, it's keep repetitive, is it? It's repetitive. Is it not like a pivot table? For pivot table, you don't have the repeat, you're going to group them, is it? So here, this melt just make it grow longer, is it? And it doesn't matter about the repetitive. And if you call the pivot again, is it? And you specify, okay, the key and the variable and the value, is it? Then you can see it's make it what? Make it wider, is it? Make it wider. And here just show you can also through the reset index to do to achieve some similar result, okay, effects. Okay, so that's mostly for